From the first of your first-year classes to the last of your third, you've pulled together and persevered. And tonight, all of you, each in your own way, graduate and go on. It was years ago that I learned, not in the lab, but just from living large, living out loud, that it isn't opposites that attract. It's like that attracts like. And that's why I think it's much more than a happy accident that all of you, many remarkable men, selected Hofstra, and in turn, Hofstra selected you for advanced study. This is an amazing place, a law school high in its national rank and rising, imbued with a sense of urgency, informed by intellectual curiosity, committed to diversity in thinking and thinkers, and at its very root, pledged to and premised upon preparing you for professional lives in public service, public policy, and community betterment. And yes, it is led by an amazing dean and remarkable faculty. This campus is a canvas upon which you now leave your mark. Among your ranks, imagine this: a tango dancer, a ballerina, members of the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, a rabbi and a realtor, an Eagle Scout, a Marine, a NATO peacekeeper, a sushi restaurateur, and who knows what's coming next? Lawyers, 350 of them. Some of you probably going to be suing me in a year or so remember all the nice things I'm saying tonight, please. And layer on that your many years of and your many means of volunteerism, giving to hospices, firehouses, Ronald McDonald houses, Habitat for Humanity, Meals on Wheels, and so on. For you, the law isn't a foreign object or an abstract idea. It shapes your thinking and sharpens your reasoning. Here you found new ways to express your compassion, demonstrate your competencies, and reveal your capacity. You leave a living legacy to which others coming to this campus will aspire. Likewise, I think Hofstra Law will stay with you. So what's next? In this economic environment, so much is in short supply. Sometimes it even feels good luck and goodwill, but you don't need me to tell you that. What does count and what is worth considering is that in good economic times and bad, there are qualities and qualifications that do matter. Qualities and qualifications which brought you to and kept you engaged in the study of law these past 3 years. Qualities and qualifications that make a meaningful, measurable difference in your lives and the lives of others. I'm going to refer specifically now to something that's called servant leadership. It's a constellation of qualities and qualifications that will serve you well. Servant leadership is leading with the expectation to give and to grow, but not necessarily to get, at least not get in the ordinary sense. And servant leadership is not conditioned upon the economy. It is premised upon the desire to create value in the public and private sectors, to create value at work and at home, and through community service. Servant leadership is the everyday application of common law and common sense in everyday life. Now, servant leadership is not my idea. It belongs to Robert Greenleaf, who wrote a book by the same name 25 years ago, and it is as relevant today as when it was first released. This is his thesis, that caring for persons, the more able and the less able serving together, serving each other, is the rock upon which a good society is built. Whereas until recently, caring was largely person to person, now most of it is mediated through institutions, often large, often complex, powerful, impersonal, not always competent, and yes, sometimes corrupt. If a better society is to be built, one that is more just and more loving, one that provides greater creative opportunity for its people, then the most open course is to raise both the capacity to serve and the very performance as servant of existing major institutions. Greenleaf believed that servant leaders could create value in any number of public and private institutions, big and small. I do too. The need for a high level of trust in institutions is ever present, even more so in these times. Ethics isn't a passing fancy. Integrity isn't a fleeting interest. The public's trust is an active endeavor. It must be earned every day by its ambassadors, which now includes all of you in our audience. And as you've heard, I work in large institutions, city jail systems, prison state systems, and recently the nation's civil detention system, which is, by the way, the largest lockup in the United States. And crazy as it might sound, I love to work in these places. They're controversial places that don't always have stellar reputations. So whether you're watching Law & Order or Oz, correctional officers are still called guards, and that sucks. How's that for French, huh? These places are beyond our ordinary experience. The work is performed in isolation, closed off to casual observation, definitely not transparent in today's parlance. These are places that take and hold others against their will. The work in criminal systems of incarceration is difficult, and oftentimes it can be dangerous. Corrections officers have only a few of the tools issued to police officers to keep the public and the inmate population safe. The work in civil systems of incarceration is different. Civil detainees have few of the rights afforded accused criminals. In these divisions within our community, as well as our workplace, we often find ourselves isolated from one another, and this isolation can be an inhospitable environment in which to incubate innovation. I hope some of you will make this your life's work. These are important places where important work is performed, work that faithfully represents our nation's notions of fundamental fairness in the arenas of civil and criminal law. These are also welcoming places for servant leadership because place matters far less than its people. When it comes to shaping, yes, even making people, the path is always the same. Expect the best results and manage accordingly. Set high expectations. Empower your workforce to make change happen. Do not let them fail. Be fair, be focused, be deliberative, quickly. Incentivize independence, recognize excellence, celebrate success, and then do it again, do it better than before. Now, I was lucky. I came across Greenleaf's text early in my career, and it has steered me since. In my world, this is what servant leadership looks like on the front line. Correctional officers are authorized, indeed expected, to interact with inmates as role models and change agents. When inmates fail to meet minimum requirements, like going to school, earning a GED, going to work and paying their way, getting and staying sober, remaining infraction-free, there are consequences: fewer privileges, lower wages, more supervision, sterner sanctions. When inmates meet minimum standards, they are held harmless. When inmates surpass average, they earn more privileges, higher wages, and greater opportunity to make more decisions that affect the conditions of their confinement. Feedback is fast, feedback is fair. In short, daily life in prison and jail looks an awful lot like daily life in our communities, and it is. We call this method of management parallel universe. Inmates practice civil conduct and good citizenship every minute of every day in jail and prison, so that they are ready, really ready, when their time is up and they are released and come home. There's one other thing that I'd like to say about leadership service. There was a time, less than a generation ago, when much of the world of work was all but closed to women. Service and leadership service, including the practice of law, were largely the preserve of men. This was also a time, by the way, when only a few women were allowed to work in the field of corrections, and they too were restricted to supervising female inmates only. Now I'm happy to point out over 1/2 of your graduating class are women, and nearly 1/2 of the corrections staff in our system are women as well, and they are assigned to every position and post in the city jail system. And they do it for the very same reasons as do you, because they can, because you can. And so where is it that you're headed? Where will you practice? Where will you excel? Where will you live the law? In religious, financial, educational institutions, the public or private sector, profit or not-for-profit organizations, foundations, or the free market? Each of these places has urgent need for communities of trust, servant leaders upon which our constituencies can count and with whom they can co-govern for the common weal. Each of these places has urgent need for you. Go there and be there. Be you, be good, do good. Godspeed.